All right, let's start this hour with this developing story out of KwaZulu-Natal. The death toll following the collapse of a temple in Verulam, north of Durban, has risen to 4. 3 more bodies have been recovered underneath the rubble of the collapsed River Range Ranch temple today. SABC News' Ayanda Mhlongo is tracking that story and joins us now for an update. So in the last while, Ayanda, a high-powered delegation and a briefing, ministerial, provincial and local. What are the details we are gleaning, particularly as they relate to the number of people confirmed dead and believed dead, but also the number of people that may remain trapped underneath that rubble?
There's quite a number of people that were...
Yes, certainly, Tulas, that briefing that we've been waiting for, in fact, for most of the day there, led by the Minister of Public Works and Infrastructure, Dean McPherson, as you said, accompanied by the MEC for Cox and the province of KwaZulu-Natal, Tulasizwe Buthelezi, as well as the Mayor of the eThekwini municipality, Cyril Gaba, with many questions, Tulas, as you know, in terms of what exactly transpired here and just the status currently of this operation. Let me just step out of a shot, because what is important for us is for our viewers to see what is currently happening behind us. The scene here, Tulas, I must say, is very much active, and the information, of course, that we've now been able to receive from that briefing by the minister is, as you said, 3 people have been confirmed dead, and those bodies were recovered earlier on today. And then, of course, they're saying that there is a 4th body that the rescue teams are currently trying to recover at the moment. And the other, what has also come up to us, and we spoke about this during the course of the day, is, of course, that yesterday when this incident happened, no one could really say how many workers were on site. Of course, we know that yesterday there were about 11 people that were rescued and taken to a hospital, but of course at that time no one could say how many people were on site. And of course the minister alluding to the fact that they still could find more people that are still trapped in. So this operation that we are seeing here, Tulas, is expected to continue possibly for the next coming days, until they're certain that they have recovered everyone that might have been trapped and died under this rubble. Of course, a very difficult one as well, to us. Not an easy recovery due to the terrain, due to the location of this temple. Also, of course, hampered by the weather conditions. Earlier on, we did see the heavy machinery being brought in, and there was that a message then from the rescuers saying that that will enable them to be able to continue with the recovery operation. Other information that came out importantly from that briefing, of course, the minister saying that he has been briefing the president on what has happened, and now that he has been able to get a brief from these teams that are here on the ground, he is then going to update the president insofar as what has happened here, but most importantly to us, what is going to happen. The biggest question, of course, really is to us issues around these types of incidents. It's not for the first time that we've seen an incident like this where buildings collapse and there are casualties, and the minister, of course, speaking on that and saying that there does really seem to be many gaps that still needs to be filled, but of course he said that accountability will be important. In terms of what might have caused this particular incident, that will be the subject of the investigation. We do know that the Council for Built Environment is going to be leading this investigation, of course, once the rescuers have then concluded with their search efforts, and everyone that may be under this rubble has been rescued. Of course, there are also engineers from the KZN Department of Public Works that have also been brought in to assist, and as well as assistance that came through from the Western Cape. There is a team that came into the province early this morning from the Western Cape, and so they're all part of this team that is here to continue continue with this all-important work. A lot more questions, Tulas, as I was saying, in terms of the accountability. One, who owns this particular building or this the site, really. We were reports that one of the directors of the temple might have been one of the people that was or that died. The minister, of course, has confirming that, yes, it was somebody, either the director or someone who is part of the temple leadership that is amongst those that have died. But there has not been any word yet insofar as what the government is telling us in terms of the owners of the building and other information that they might share with us. So at the moment, as well as around the investigation, to us, we still need to wait, I suppose, some time as the minister and the MEC not willing at this point to sort of give us more information in terms of what they might have received or been briefed on. You'd note yesterday that we've been reporting to Lesizwe about a preliminary report that came through from the eThekwini municipality in which they said that their preliminary findings were that there were no approvals for this structure and therefore rendering it illegal. And when we posed this question to the delegation, they did not want to speak much on it. In fact, the mayor of eThekwini, they're saying that they will still need time for them. Let's allow the investigation to continue, and they at the right point they will then be able to sort of brief the public and the nation on exactly what transpired here. So still a lot more questions to us that have been left unanswered, and one, of course, will have to then stay on this over the next coming days to see what else comes out in terms of this investigation. But most importantly, I think one must note that behind this tragedy there are families that have lost their loved ones, and the delegation also speaking about that the focus really is going to be on as well as the families who have lost their loved ones, but most importantly is to ensure that everyone who might have been trapped and killed in this tragedy, that those bodies are recovered. And at that point then, they will then be able to then continue and fully with the investigation. Tulas?
So you get a sense then, Ayanda, that we're still some way off from that point where the search and rescue, search and recovery effort is done and dusted. It seems that's still going to be on the go for quite some time, and I suppose somewhere the investigation will also begin. But I suppose also there'll be these questions around regulatory compliance, geotechnical questions being asked, the site itself. Describe the site for us. I mean, and what was being built, this temple, in terms of its structure and where it is located in terms of the terrain in relation to the rest of the community in and around that area.
Reach those people, and the situation had become.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, from what we're picking up from the minister to us, we're not going to get a report on this investigation anytime soon, as in fact this first phase, which will be the recovery, might take some time. I mean, just look at what you're seeing there, and Nomhle, my colleague zooming in to show our viewers these large concrete slabs. Now, this was a 4-story building, and underneath which was in addition to the temple. So it was the ground floor of the temple, which has been utilized, of course, by this community. And of course, on top of that, what they were building then to us is these 4 stories. And when they, from one of the workers that our colleagues yesterday spoke to, he in fact said that he had been on the 4th floor and they were laying more concrete on the 4th floor. And during that process, the floors then just caved in. So you can just look at it now, to us, these large concrete slabs. There's also wires as well that you can see protruding through. There's bricks, there's sand as well, concrete. So it really it's going to be quite a long operation for these workers, and they're moving area by area in terms of what we can see. They moved from we did get an opportunity just to go to the top of the hill, and we had a vantage point of where they are. So seemingly they're going to then be moving slowly slowly, area by area, removing the concrete and trying to get right down to the bottom. So what we see here are these 4 levels that have collapsed onto what was the original temple. But the other concern to us, and obviously from our vantage point here, you might not be able to see, but it is built on a slope. And on the other side, it does have sort of these metal bars, or these long metal bars that are reinforcing the building. And that is why then it was important yesterday for the structural engineers to come to the site so that they could then assist the rescue team. So the engineers are here. We do, of course, have additional engineers that have been brought by the department to come and assist these rescuers. So, Tulas, I mean, looking at it now, it might even take maybe into this week, a couple of days. So it is really going to be quite some time. They have to ensure that they've cleared the entire area first. Thereafter, then the investigators will be able to then continue with the investigation.
All right, Ayanda, thank you for that comprehensive update. Ayanda Mhlongo, live for us in Verulam in KwaZulu-Natal, tracking that story. It does seem that there's a mammoth task to try to get to the bottom of what happened. Search and rescue, search and recovery happening, while at the same time, the investigative legs of that story will start to unfold. So look out for more of Ayanda and the team's reporting on that story throughout the day.